everyone's looking for the young guy. They're looking for McVay. I think take a shot out Todd Bowles, get him a second shot at head coach, and see if he can do it.
I don't think they will. If they don't have Anthony Davis, I'm saying it right now. If Anthony Davis is out for the playoffs, they don't make it out of the first round.
It's crazy. And our kids will know how great Tom Brady is because he's going to be playing.
Yes, it is 15.0%.
That's what the Yankees brought Garrett Cole to do.
He was a 6th-round pick. This is a fairy tale story that's being written in front of our eyes.
People like to call them their JV team, and they just stole one of their better players.
They didn't struggle against the Padres. The Padres didn't really put up a fight in most of the games.
Jerry Jones, hope you're listening.
Hi, I'm Landon Bowe, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week. I'm Kevin, and I'm joined by the man that I'm curious if you had the same problems with this one, Austin. I had to cut so many dynamic wide receivers for this top 10.
Yeah. And again, this is prediction for next year, so it is a little bit predicting. There was a lot of guys that I was like, wow, I want to have him on my list. Wow, I want to have him on my list. But I do really like my top 10. I can't lie.
I like mine top 10 as well. I'm curious. This one could cause a lot of trouble. So do you have honorable mentions or?
Yes, I do. One of them's not even on a team. I wanted to put Keenan Allen here. Keenan Allen's been extremely consistent. I think if he went to the right team, he'd be in a good situation, but I don't actually know what team he's going to be on. Well, Amari Cooper's not on my list, but he's also a guy that's also looking for a team still. Michael Pittman Jr. is a guy that I just think the QB situation is a reason why he's not in really consideration. And then Devonta Smith, DK Metcalf, DJ Moore, Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, there's so many guys you can just say they're good, but they're not on my list. But I am excited to see who is on yours. Who are your honorable mentions?
DK Metcalf is an honorable mention for me as well. Brian Thomas Jr. with the Jaguars. He was a guy where I think he could get even better, but honorable mention as well. And then Devontae Adams is an honorable mention for me.
Got it.
So I'll just go into my 10. This is a guy where I was really excited for what he will do with the Commanders, and I believe he stays with the Commanders. Terry McLaurin, I think, he's constantly a great wide receiver, and I think he's just going to continue to get better with Jaden Daniels at quarterback or wherever he goes because he's looking for a new contract.
This was definitely a tough list for me. He did not make my list. And I do think that our quarterback helps a part of the reason why I have some of these guys where I have them. My number 10 is actually Ladd McConkey. And a big reason why he had a big year last year as a rookie. 1,150 yards, 1,149 yards to be exact, and 7 touchdowns. And now he's really the only true major offensive threat, besides obviously Justin Herbert. But for him to throw to, I think that he is by far the best guy there, and I think he'll have a very, very productive season because of that.
Yeah, he did not make my list, but that's a really good one because we had a lot of great rookie wide receivers last year. Brian Thomas was one, Marvin Harrison Jr. was another, and Ladd McConkey. So number 9, Tyreek Hill for the Dolphins. He didn't reach 1,000 yards last year, but I think he was dealing with an injury. Was fighting through it, even though he did play 17 games. But he's someone that I think gets back on track, especially with the Dolphins as a team.
Yeah, another guy that I don't have on my list, so we're starting off hot. My number 9 is Mike Evans. Evans is a guy that's been consistently great every year. Last year, he only played 14 games and still got to 1,000 yards, and not even just 1,000 yards. He also had 11 touchdowns in 14 games, which was amazing. I don't think he's going to deal with injuries this year. He's been relatively consistent with that. I think he's past the strains that he had last year. And without Chris Godwin, and this is still going to be a very good receiving room, but Baker's going to rely on him more than anyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. He's my 8. So I view him better than Tyreek Hill. And he's my 8 because of all the reasons you said.
Sounds good. I'll go into my 8. My 8 is Brian Thomas Jr. He had a great year last year with the Jaguars, and even with the addition of Travis Hunter, I don't necessarily think he's going to be too much of a problem. They're kind of different guys, and Brian Thomas had 1,200 yards, or almost 1,300 yards last year and 10 touchdowns. He was fourth in Offensive Rookie of the Year voting, and I think he's going to have another great year. He also had he had 6 attempts rushing the ball, so he also has an impact in that part of the game. He did not really have that many problems with drops, and he did have a good bit of yards per reception, so he's my number 8.
All right. So now to go into 7. My 7 is Nico Collins with the Texans. This is where I really noticed. And it started with Mike Evans. I'm like, man, he's my 7. Nico Collins. Mike Evans is my 8. Nico Collins had 2 more yards than Mike Evans and about 20 less targets. He had 99 targets, and he did all this in 12 games. He's a big body wide receiver that can make great catches and is definitively the number 1 wide receiver for the Texans.
Yeah. Nico Collins is on my list, but we'll get to him in a little bit. My number 7 is Malik Neighbors. Neighbors had a great year last year. In only 15 games, he had 1,200 yards and 7 receptions. So I have both of the LSU rookie guys from last year on this list and back-to-back. I think Russell Wilson being there will help him continue his development. While he does have kind of a turf toe issue, I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem this season.
Yeah, he's someone that I'm very interested in as well. But who's your 6?
My 6, Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson has struggled with a lot of QB insecurities and just them not being as good as necessarily he is. But I think Justin Fields will actually help him out. But still, with all those QB problems, he's had 1,100 yards, 1,042 yards, and 1,100 yards again this past year. He's yet to miss a game of his entire career, and I think that holds true. He takes care of his body, and he was great last year. I mean, Rodgers had a lot of bad games, and even with that, and with training for Devontae Adams and doing this and doing that, it didn't really matter. He still had, like I said, over 1,000 yards, and I think his impact on the Jets will be felt as he continues to grow as a receiver.
Yeah, you have 2 guys. Your 7 and 6 are not on my list, but it was really tough for me because Malik Neighbors, I talked about the rookies. I didn't even mention Malik Neighbors from last year. He's incredible and just needs better quarterback play. Garrett Wilson, I'm very excited, but we'll have to see. My 6 is Puka Nacua for the Rams. They no longer have Cooper Kupp, and I think he's going to get a majority of touches, and he got close to 1,000 in only 11 games. So he's someone that I believe elevates himself into that top 10.
Yeah, I don't have Puka on my list either. I think the majority of the guys we've had, besides Mike Evans, is the only guy we've agreed on so far on our list.
Yeah, it's understandable. There's just so many great talents, and you have younger guys, and they'll definitely be on the list. But it just seems like a stacked wide receiver room or wide receiver talent in the NFL right now.
Yeah, I mean Puka, and I don't have Jackson Smith and Jigba on my list either, and neither is obviously Cooper Kupp, who's Jackson Smith and Jigba's teammate, on this list. And so that was your 6.
That was my 6. So
Okay,
I'm going to my 5.
Yeah,
or what? My 5 is AJ Brown for the Eagles. Dominant wide receiver. Did kind of get in some problems attitude-wise with the Eagles, or that was always rumored. But he's someone that's just, I think, one of the best wide receivers, but I have him at 5 because I like the guys above him more.
Yeah, I don't have AJ Brown on my list either. He's missed some games with injuries, and also I think that he didn't really play as well as I would have liked to have seen him play in the playoffs. I don't know if that just means that he was tired after a very good season, or they just were relying so heavily on Saquon. But even in the Super Bowl, I mean, Saquon only had 57 rushing yards. Now he did have 25 attempts, but AJ Brown did score that touchdown, but he only had 3 receptions for 43 yards. My number 5 is Nico Collins. Collins is by far the best guy on offense for a Texans team that definitely needs to get healthy. I mean, Tank Dell is still dealing with injuries, and they have other guys dealing with injuries like Joe Mixon. But I think Nico Collins is going to have a very, very good year this year. And again, he had over 1,000 yards in only 12 games, which is extremely impressive.
Yeah, he's impressive. And now we can go into 4. I have CD Lamb from the Cowboys. It just seems like every year he gets better, and that's fantastic. It is a big contract for him, but he's one of the best wide receivers, and he's just a dynamic wide receiver.
Yeah, my 10 is Amon-Ra. So Amon-Ra St.
Right.
Brown at number 4 for me. The Lions are going to need him to play well this year, and I think he will. I mean, he can consistently play with any QB, but having Jared Goff, who's very solid, will help him out. And yeah, I'm extremely confident. He's one of those guys that are just surefire. It's going to be very, very good. So while he's still very good, it's also a safe pick because I don't see him ever really struggling during this time of his career.
Exactly. I have him at my 3, Amon-Ra St. Brown, just above CD Lamb. He had more yards than CD Lamb on less targets and played 17 games. So he's someone I think, I think you can. It is a fun debate to see who would you rather have, CD Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown. And there's not a wrong answer with that. It's just different preferences, I would say.
Yeah, and we can go into my 3. My 3 is Ja'Marr Chase. I do think that Ja'Marr very heavily. I mean, he's extremely good. So saying that he is number 3, I mean, you'd be like, well, he led the league in yards, receptions, and touchdowns. I do think it helps that he has another very good wide receiver next to him that makes it to where it's very hard to double team him, because in games where you double team him, well, T. Higgins is going to put up 130 yards. Also, you have Joe Burrow, who was an MVP candidate as his QB last year. So he has very good QB. He has very good wide receiver 2 on his own team. I mean, T. Higgins had almost 1,000 yards in only 12 games last year and 10 touchdowns. That's another honorable mention for a top 10 wide receiver, which is why I only have him at 3. I think that, and maybe I'm reaching a little bit, but I just don't necessarily think he benefits a lot from having a great QB, and I'd love to see him. I'd love to see how productive he would be with a less great QB.
Yeah, that is a fun debate. And even I think connection, I would love to see how well does he do without T. Higgins, which he does when Higgins is hurt, but that's a big part of our offense is having 2 arguably top 10. You could argue T. Higgins deserves to be in the top 10, but we don't have him unless you have him at 2 or 1. My 2 is Ja'Marr Chase because of just he's someone that I believe Burrow, of course, makes great throws, but he also just forces it to Ja'Marr Chase. I don't know if you can do that with Amon-Ra St. Brown or CD.
You can't do what?
Like just constantly force the ball to them up high. I think Amon-Ra
you can, because I think that's exactly what the Cowboys did, not this past season, but the season before that. And I think you can just kind of go into my 2 really quickly. CD is my number 2. And I think it's, again, they had Cooper Rush at QB, and that Cooper Rush is not bad. I mean, they had a better record last year with Cooper Rush than they did with Dak, and the same amount of starts. So they both had 8 starts. Cooper Rush had a better record in those starts than Dak did. But I think CD also, he played 15 games instead of the 17 games. He still had basically 1,200 yards. I think a big reason why CD struggled a little bit last season, though, was because he didn't have a second wide receiver to really help him like Ja'Marr Chase does. And that's part of the reason why you can force it to Ja'Marr more, is because you can't double team him as much as you would like to, unless you're double teaming him and T. Higgins. But if both of them are playing in the same game, it makes it very, very, very difficult. Which I think it's not the same sort of thing that you give CD or Amon-Ra. And so I I do have Ja'Marr Chase above Amon-Ra. I do think that Ja'Marr definitely heavily is improved over just being in the situation that he's in.
All right. Okay. So that means I was curious if you were going to have, because you mentioned quarterback play. It almost doesn't really matter for Justin Jefferson, as of course he's benefited. He's done well with Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold, and him had a good connection, but I do believe a lot of it is just what Jefferson does. Played 17 games, had less yards than Jamar Chase, but he's someone that you can really trust. And he had less targets than Jamar Chase, about 21 less than Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase had 175. Justin Jefferson had 154. Really, you do have Justin Jefferson at 1, right?
Of course, I have Justin Jefferson at 1.
I'll
Justin
make
Jefferson may be my favorite player in football right now. I love watching him play. I mean, he may be a Vikings player, but I'll get Justin Jefferson jersey so quickly. It does not matter who the QB is. That's what really is the difference between him and everyone else for me. I've never seen him struggle. It's pretty amazing. Whether it's again Nick Mullins or Sam Darnold or say again Josh Dobbs. Sure. Anyone. I just have yet to see him struggle. He's one of the most amazing wide receivers I've ever watched. I mean, last season, 1,500 yards, 10 touchdowns. And then the season before that, 1,074 yards in 10 games is insane. That is 107 yards per game. And again, there was a majority of those games. I mean, he played in a lot of those games that were not even QB'd by Kirk Cousins because of the injury. And in his past year, obviously, was Sam Darnold. But, I mean, what I've seen Justin Jefferson do, it reminds me a lot of Calvin Johnson. I mean, Calvin Johnson's really the only guy I can really say is in the same ballpark that I've watched. I think Justin Jefferson's better than Devontae Adams in his prime, or better than Tyreek Hill in his prime, or better than a lot of these guys in his prime. The only real guy I really can compare him to that I've watched is maybe Julio Jones and maybe Calvin Johnson. I mean, and Antonio Brown. I guess those are the three that I really think of: Antonio Brown, Calvin Johnson, and Julio.
Yeah, and I would say Jefferson feels different than them, but he is still dominant. So yeah, at this one it was easy. I was like, Jefferson's 1. Now we just got to figure out who goes behind him. And yeah, a lot of LSU wide receivers you have on your list. But yeah, it's really interesting. And let us know your thoughts in the comments. We appreciate you listening to Outsiders Opinions.